Hello everyone, this is Coach Sean, and we have finished reviewing the hitting video from early December, and we're now just putting together your hitting lessons. There's some things that are common amongst a lot of our hitters that the videotape is showing us, and I just wanted to start by reviewing some of these things so that everybody can become familiar with them, what they are, how they affect your swing, what you can do to correct it, practice drills, etc. What I'd like everyone to do after you read these things is stop your video, go online, go to our website, saintsbaseball.club. Once you're at the website, saintsbaseball.club, I would like you to go to the features page, and I'd like you to watch the following videos. The first one I would like you to watch is Fix Your Flat Swing, Master the Snap Drill. I believe this drill is essential in any hitter's swing. If you do not move your hands, turn the triangle, snap the bat rearward, and pull your hands through a swing, you're not going to have your best swing. You're not going to be able to attack the balls on the corners and things of that nature. A flat swing is going to have trouble hitting outside and inside pitches. What we are trying to build with our hitters is a complete hitter, somebody with no holes in their swing that can attack all the balls in the zone and drive the ball from gap to gap at your 18 to 22 degree upward plane, thusly making each hitter the best they can be. So again, if you do not snap your bat correctly, this drill is perfect for slowing it down, duplicating it, mimicking the process, and is something that everybody should be able to do or know about so that they can work on getting there in the future. So again, I'd like you to start by watching those two videos. I think 3 videos associated to that part of the drill. The second thing I'd like you to watch is casting your hands in the swing. It's the second video on the page. Casting your hands is something that most of our hitters are doing. A large number of them anyway are doing. And casting the bat, simply put, will flatten your swing. Okay, it's the incorrect use of your hands in the swing that flattens your plane of your bat, which is going to make you, again, have difficulty hitting inside and outside pitches. It's going to give you holes in your swing, and this is a great video series so that you can understand what it is, how you're doing it, and again, ways to fix it. So that's very important. Thirdly, loose hands drill. It's lower down on the page, and I have a feeling from watching these videos that not everybody's holding their bats correctly. The bat should be held very loosely, and every one of our players should investigate using a grip aid, whether it's pine tar or the tacky waxy substances, something of that nature. But if you look at a major league on deck circle, there's probably 4 or 5 grip aids that the batters are using every at bat before they go to bat in most cases. And on the Saints team, we've got literally 1 or 2 people using pine tar, and not on a regular basis. So again, I would like all the players to understand how to grip a bat, the best way to grip a bat, why they're gripping it that way, and how it contrasts with what they're doing. And I'd like them to try to mimic and copy the folks in these hand drills so that they can, again, feel the difference in the swing with loose hands. So we've got that video. We've got the Justin Turner's loose hands bat grip, which all that does is show his loose grip preload. Again, very important for the kids to get that, let it sink in, and see if they can change their grip to get their hands and wrists looser in the swing. So go ahead and go watch those and then come on back to your lesson. Okay, now that you've done that, let's talk a little bit about what we're trying to achieve here. In general, a hitter that is approaching 15 years old, or by the time he reaches 16, he should be very proficient at covering the zone, meaning having a swing that will produce a line drive anywhere from gap to gap at anywhere from 16 to 22 degree upward trajectory. A player should be able to hit a pitch in that direction that is anywhere in the zone. That is a batting practice or soft toss pitch or off a tee. Okay, yes, it's a different thing when you put a live pitcher in there throwing top speed for your age group, but by age 15, 16 at the latest, you should be very well accomplished with the quick short swing that covers the whole zone, that puts the ball into the right place. So what we're trying to do is build that with each player, and what we're seeing from just a few flaws, not a lot of stuff needs to be cleaned up with a lot of our hitters, but this snap drill and how you initiate the swing and casting the hands are the two biggest things we need to fix so that our kids can get on the trajectory of being able to hit a ball in the strike zone where they need and want to hit it. So our goal is trying to get you all in that direction. So that's what we're working on here. That's what we're trying to accomplish. So the first thing I want to show you here is this hitter performing the snap drill. And let's just roll it so you can see it. Okay, let's play it live. You see how he does it nice and slow, making sure he's keeping everything in its right position with the right sequence. And this drill right here, we're going to call the snap drill. And I believe every one of our hitters on our team needs to practice this a lot on a regular basis. Even after you master it, you need to keep doing it just to make sure it stays regular and an easy feeling for you. And let's take a look at some of the breakdown on this thing here. So what you're trying to achieve is more of a horizontal or downward swing. As you can see at the point of contact, so to speak, the angle of his bat. Okay. That angle right there is what you're trying to achieve on most pitches, not an outside and high pitch, for example, but for a lot of the pitches on the plate, that's the angle you're trying to achieve, okay? So, of course, he did that and achieved that angle by starting with a good triangle with this 90 degrees. He's got a proper hand grip. Okay, look at that really close. And as you move it forward here, he's snapping the bat rearward. Snapping the bat rearward. And one important thing in being able to do that, which is also part of the snap drill teachings, is this right here. The right forearm for a right-hander, left forearm for a left-hander. This degree should always be close to 90 degrees at all times until you get into the power V, or the tail end of your swing. So as you watch that angle through the swing, you can see he's kept it more or less at contact right there. Okay? So the relationship of the forearm to the bat should always be 90 degrees. When you start the swing, the first movement here, there's his go right there. His triangle starts to turn, his bat comes rearward, his forearm and bat are at 90 degrees, and he simply maintains that posture through the swing. And you can see there he really starts to get his left elbow moving forward and around and up, and starts plunging his left shoulder rearward. Okay? So as you watch this here, see how far that left shoulder or left elbow is going to maintain his 90 degrees. Now he's essentially turned his triangle all the way, and it's facing the pitcher. Okay? If you do not, which a lot of our hitters don't, if you do not turn that elbow up and out, that elbow will stop right where it's at. Okay? If your elbow stops in here, which a lot of our players' elbows do, if you're stopping here, the only place for the arms and hands to then go, the forearms and the hands, is out and around that elbow. Okay? So these are then going to come outward. Okay? That would be his arm extended right there, so to speak. If he stops the elbow, this hand has nowhere to go but out and around the elbow. Okay? Which will make you cast your bat, which will give you a flatter swing plane and make it tough to reach inside pitches and outside pitches on a regular basis. So again, this snap drill is something everybody should grab a wiffle ball bat, stand in front of a mirror, practice this methodically, slowly, until you get it and it's comfortable. And once it's comfortable, you should continue to do it on a regular basis. Okay? So let's flip this for our left-handers. Let them take a look. Okay, this drill is real easy to practice as well. What you do is you get in the batter's box with a tee, you get your feet lined up, you take and you measure the distance from the hands to the sweet spot of your bat, and you get in this position, put the bat near the ball, you recreate this whole position right here, and then you simply back it up to your load and you slowly proceed between the 2 points until you can do it quickly and correctly. Okay, so I want everybody to work on that. I want you to do it at home. I want you to do it in the cages, at practice. I really want everybody to concentrate on gaining what it feels like to start your swing like this. Very important. Okay, here's another version of the snap drill. It should also be practiced with one hand. This is the portion of the drill where you're concentrating on a 90-degree or a perpendicular angle, 90 degrees from the bat to your left elbow or your forearm or your right forearm if you're right-handed. Let's watch this gentleman demonstrate the drill. So along with the other version of this, everybody should practice this on a regular basis. You should get it to feel as comfortable as possible, and some of the things to remind you of here is you can see how the elbow and everything starts to slot and everything works together simultaneously. The same thing with the two-hand snap drill, okay? So now we've got this flipped for right-handed players to see what it looks like. Okay, so again, the ability to do this and master these drills and get a good feel for handling the bat like these instructors are. Again, bat speed controls how far and hard we hit the ball. So you want to gain as much bat speed as possible, and you can see the whip from laying it down like this is how you're going to gain more bat speed, okay? That's how early bat speed is gained. The second thing it's going to do for you, it's going to get the bat on the right path, which is going to help you hit more balls where you want to hit them. So keep all that in mind as you're practicing this drill. And the third way to practice the snap drill is with a PVC pipe. Okay, and here is the third way to practice the snap drill, and this is with the PVC pipe that was provided to you by Chris, or this could be with a broomstick, something of that nature. And let's just watch this gentleman. You can see how he moves everything simultaneously. Everything's firing at once. The snapping of the hands, the slotting of the right elbow, the upward movement of the left shoulder and elbow to turn the triangle, and bam. Okay, now again, this is exaggerated. You're not going to exactly swing this way every time, but it does show, and by exaggerating, get everything moving in the right direction on the right path. So let's flip it for our left-handers. Okay, so there are the 3 ways to practice the snap drill, and I highly suggest everybody masters these drills. Get them looking just the way these instructors do in the video. Okay? So here we have Justin Turner loaded in here, and I want to take a quick look at the ending of his swing so that we have contrast for later when we get into the individual videos. But you can see he's 3/4 of the way through his swing here, and if we draw a line right here, this line indicates what a lot of our players are doing that are casting their hands. If you cast your hands, what that's going to do, it's going to stop your elbows in this area right here of the swing. It's not going to allow you to get to this position. Okay? So again, take a quick look at that and then parlay that into your swing and see what the differences are. But if you do stop your elbows and cast the bat, that's what's going to give you the rotational, flatter swing. So here is Aaron Judge, and let's look at his full swing. Again, look at the same points. As he's 3/4 the way through his swing here, before contact. You'll see that he maintains his 90-degree relationship with his elbows and triangle. You'll see here that his elbow is way up by his shoulder. His shoulder is moving rearward. And it appears he's got a ball on a pretty good trajectory, and with his bat speed, I'm assuming that's a home run or close to it, right there. He's got a perpendicular relationship here with the bat and the flight of the ball. He pulled his hands inside nicely, and he got some nice results on this swing. So if we look at the front of the swing here, if you look at the hands, and the elbows, you will see that all that stuff moves simultaneously. You will also see his left elbow simply goes upward, like so. So let's go ahead and get into the individual lessons, and we'll discuss some of this stuff in further depth as we have you on the screen here. Okay, David, here is your video lesson. You'll see on the screen here, after the end of your lesson, I'm going to load in there so you can watch all your raw hitting video and you can study it. I suggest paying attention to which location versus where you hit it and at what trajectory you hit it. Are you going gap to gap? Are you getting it 16 to 22 degrees on an upward plane? Look at whether you're getting flush contact versus glancing contact. And then I'm also going to attach your pitching video in there so that you can take a look at that. And we'll be taping more pitching sessions and pitching instructions later on, but you can get a jump start on watching yourself there. So here is your action plan. So this, after watching your tape, David, I've made you an action plan so you have a roadmap to how to tackle improving on some of these things. You got a list of things that you can gauge your progress. You know what you're working on day to day, week to week, month to month. These are some of the things that I'd like to work on you with, see you improve. The first thing is mastering the snap and laser drill. You've already seen the snap drill if you've watched the video that I asked you guys to at the beginning of your lesson here. That's going to help you enter the bat into the zone, the hitting area in a proper, more direct path. You can see that you're highly rotational with your swing. It's because you're casting your hands. This shows you how to enter into the swing and go straight to the ball. So again, that's something I'd really like to see you improve on. It's not hard to do. I think it all starts with mastering the snap drill. So, you know, take that slow, just work on it without a tee, without anything. You can even use a wiffle ball bat, maybe get in front of a mirror in the bathroom, something of that nature, and just copy the guy on the screen and see if you can get that feeling a little bit more comfortable. You do cast your hands in your swing, so I'd really like to visit how we can stop casting our hands, which is what's giving you a rotational swing. Again, it goes back to the snap drill, but I just wanted you to realize that you are doing that, and that's something that we should work on to get a more direct path to the ball. Number three, you got a lot of power. You're a strong kid, but there are improvements that are going to give you more power, and one of these things is the proper load, getting the proper stretch between the left hip and the right shoulder when you go to swing, when you unload your hands and you start to attack the ball. Um, very, very simple things. On our website, there's a new video that shows you a drill. It's called the 10-toe trigger drill, and I'd like to get you working on that. Again, you're too rotational in the swing. I would really like to work on these things and show you what it looks like and how it feels and get you going more direct to the ball. Next, I know we've talked about it. I know you've gotten batting gloves, but I'd like to actually spend some one-on-one time with you where we can explore and look at different grips and see what we can find that's comfortable for you. A lot of how you begin your swing has to do with your grip. So I think exploring and tweaking that and seeing if we can find something that works a little bit better for you is going to help you with the snap drill and going more directly toward the ball. A lot of it has to do with your grip, believe it or not. So I'd like to go there with you. And lastly, I just like to visit your feet position in the box, where you stand, how close to the plate, how far back in the box, go over some of the fundamentals of what players do, why they're doing it. And then once we find a position that's best for you in your swing, I would you like to work on the consistency of you doing that. What I tell all the hitters is you should do the same thing every time. That's how you train yourself to step in the box and be in the right spot all the time. It's a very simple thing, but again, if we're in different positions on different swings in practice, that's telling me that we're not fully aware of why we're standing where and why we need to be where we need to be. So again, that's really simple stuff, but it's something that I'd like to be more consistent on and find out the best position for you based on your swing and go from there. So with that said, let's get into your film here. So here we have a pitch that's middle away. It's just a little bit over the outside part of the plate. It's right at the knees. And you can see here to reach out and get that pitch that's not over the edge of the plate. You can tell your body is crouching down. And what you've done, you're crouching to lean out. You're extending and casting your arms outward so that you can come back around and hit the ball. Okay? Now you're hitting it at the right trajectory. You're a strong kid, so you probably got some oomph on the ball. But what should happen instead of crouching and rotating is dropping down and coming directly at the ball. And it's probably easier to show you in person and with some other swings here the proper way to attack that pitch. Okay? Because when you crouch and rotate, you're not even at 70% at the exit velocity you should get from a proper swing on this pitch. So even though you may have hit it hard, you can hit that pitch a lot harder and in a better direction. Okay? So just look at yourself. You can see you're crouching, squatting, and then you send the bat out around. You're sending the bat out around the ball. So if you were to take a direct approach to that ball, instead of out and around and back through it, you'll see that you shouldn't ever be outside that much of your bat outside of the ball. Okay, you should stay inside the ball and you won't get this right here. So again, maybe it's hard to explain in words to get you to understand it, but what I would highly recommend right now is going to our website, saintsbaseball.club, and watching the Derek Jeter drill, staying inside the ball. It explains it in depth and shows good pictures and video so that you understand this concept. So again, the first step in learning anything is gaining knowledge of it, okay? And it's hard to ask you guys to do things and change things in your swings if you don't have knowledge why we're doing that or what we're trying to get to or what we're trying to achieve. So again, I'd like you to go watch that Derek Jeter stuff and then revisit this situation. You'll have some better understanding of what I mean here and what this drawing and these vertical lines are showing us. So right here, pre-contact, you're totally arm barred with your left arm. That means your left arm is straight. If we draw your 90, you can see that you've flattened and lost most of your 90 degree in your triangle.
Okay? And then concentrating on the finish of your swing. You can see here you're so rotational that your hands are pretty low and coming through more side to side than down and then back over you in a more vertical fashion. So you pull this left shoulder back okay, but your hands and elbow are in the wrong position. But what you should be doing is taking a more direct path to the ball and then finishing up coming more over the top. So again, it's easier to go over this stuff with you in the cage, but some of these videos will clarify that a little bit better here. So let's take a look at some other videos here. So here we have you mocked up with Aaron Judge, and this is an outside pitch. It's not quite as low as yours, but I think we can demonstrate a lot of the things we're talking about here. I'm just going to roll this back and forth so you've got the ability to see it in slow-mo. Which is hard to do with a video player without just pausing and stopping, stop, go. So, but look here, when I speak the words direct path to the ball, so he maintains his 90-degree triangle, he turns the triangle and pulls the hands directly at the ball and maintains bat leg as long as he can, and then the bat comes whipping through, okay? So he's attacking the ball directly. He's not getting rotational behind it and then coming through it on a flatter plane. He's simply dropping the bat backwards, going directly to the ball, and look at the direction the ball travels, okay? It's right field, out of the park, okay? You don't see any squat. You don't see anything. To reach the baseball anywhere in the zone that is a strike, you shouldn't have to squat at all. It's all about attacking it correctly, and that's really something I'd like to go over with you in the cages someday and talk more in depth about that. But you should position yourself at the plate once we get you mechanically straight. You stand at the plate and you find a position in which you can reach every pitch that's a strike comfortably by going directly to it. It's something that you really have to practice and practice and practice. So, okay, so let's link you guys up and just roll these so you can watch them. So I also want to touch on the topic of your balance here from this view. If we roll this to the end of your swing, watch yourself right here. Finish swinging, unbalanced. You're falling off to the other batter's box there, okay? The reason you're doing it is because your swing is rotational. When your swing is rotational and flat, okay, when you stop your body moving, your arms keep going, it's going to push you over there, okay? You're going that way. When you master the snap drill and you go directly to the ball and you thrust your shoulder back this way, that's where your momentum's going, okay? Versus like that. Okay, so anybody that does not maintain balance through their swing and at the end of their swing, that tells me right there that they're too rotational. Okay, so there's a lot of things that are showing us that. So let's watch Mike Trout's balance. Okay. Smacks a home run, so he's used every ounce of his energy to swing. But you can see his energy, okay? His energy goes to the ball and then back up around him, okay? That's the difference between going rotational and not going rotational. So just watch that. He thrusts his left left shoulder back, and he gets the sensation that he's fallen backwards off a cliff. Okay, of course that's exaggerated, but that's in your head the sensation that you need to feel when you're hitting. When you pull back like that and the bat's going forward, that's what gives you the whip and the bat speed and the exit velocity to make your ball travel further. Okay? So this here is also a pitch that's over the outer portion of the plate, not too far. It's pretty close to middle, but it's a little bit outside. And you can see here that Mike still has his 90 right there. He does get out of his 90 a little bit earlier than some players, but he's kind of a little bit shorter, bulkier kind of guy. So all of the snap drill, pulling the hands and getting to the power V all happens a little bit quicker for him. So, but you can still see maintains his 90. He's thrusting his left elbow and left shoulder upwards and backwards. You can see that again right before contact we've got the leg driving backwards and he's got a more vertical stance versus hunched over the ball. Okay, so here we have an inside pitch that's just below your waist. Okay, and as we roll it, we can see that you pop it up to the what looks to be the first base coach's box, somewhere in that area. You can see that you're not on plane with the ball. Okay. We can see you're not getting extended all the way. So a couple coaching points here. The first thing is that you are quite upright, okay? You're not bent over your upper torso quite as much as we'd like to see. And what we know is when you're vertical, you have to be more rotational because of your body movements. So that's one thing to point out there. We should work on your spine angle and get it consistent and regular. So here's your preload stance, or what I'm going to call the ready stance. You can see that you're even more vertical there, okay? And if you can see the circle there, when you're not in the proper position this way for your hands, arms, and everything in your upper body, when you're not in the right position that way to come directly through the ball, when you're upright, you have to become rotational because that's what your spine's doing, okay? You become totally rotational. So when you're bent over and you have a better spine angle position, as you can see by the yellow circle, that gives you an area for your elbows and arms and hands to come through the swing on a more direct path. Okay? Okay, so here I have you synced up with Sawyer. His is also an inside pitch. It's just a hair lower. But let's roll these here so you can see how the two look different here. You can see that the hitter on the right takes an inside pitch, hits it flush, just left of center, probably at 14 degrees upward trajectory. And his hands go directly to the ball. Okay, so just the difference in looks there. I want you to get a feel for that. The next thing that I want you to see is on your load, and then when you attack the ball, you kind of stay with your upper torso. You kind of stay, I don't know what I'd call flat or perpendicular to the plate, or your chest stays parallel with the plate. See that? You're kind of flat there, both shoulders to the plate. So take a look at Aaron here as he loads and turns his upper body. One way to kind of think about it is he's kind of leaning or attacking with his shoulder here, and he's got this shoulder back there. So you can see he closes off a little bit. I don't recommend closing off too far. Some people even go further. If you watch Josh Donaldson, he really wraps himself up there. But if you wrap yourself back too far, that's going to change where your hands go. If you wrap back too far, you sometimes will get rotational from having to come back around your body or turn back so far. So, but just the proper amount of this is what I would tell you we need to look at for and get you doing. But it just helps you coil and get more power in your swing. So let's look at Aaron's swing here. And he's unloading it directly to the ball. and then back and over. Okay, no rotation. You know, you do rotate in the swing a little bit. I don't want to use the word you don't rotate. You do rotate a little bit, but for the most part, by direction, it's how you attack it with your hands and dissect it, go straight to it. Okay, but you should close up a little bit there and get this feel of your upper body. Just watch Aaron's upper body right here. He does everything textbook. I'll just play it so you can watch it in slow-mo and get a feeling for how he's doing that. So if we take a look at him here, I've drawn some circles, one on his left hip, one on his right shoulder, and pretend this green line went in front of him. But what he's done right now, he's at load. He doesn't go back any further. He's at full load, and he's got maximum stretch. He's stretched the rubber band out so far between those 2 points, and then it snaps. Or this is the part of the swing here I like to call the trigger, when you are fully loaded and then you go. You start bringing your hands into the swing, okay? So it's very important to get that maximum stretch. And it's not done by arm barring and loading your hands backwards. It's done by slightly turning back with your right shoulder and closing off a little bit, we can call that. Okay? So another point I would like to make is when you swing, you know, one way to describe it is you swing with your back. Okay? Some coaches call it swinging with your chest. But essentially, as we turn this, just watch Aaron's back. He's rotating it, but twisting it upward, so it's not just rotational. Okay, he's swinging it and coming upward. But now that you see what his back is doing, the importance and the reason I've noted that is that other than turning the triangle, the relationship of the elbows and the hands don't change. All he's simply doing is turning, twisting the back, okay? And the elbows and the hands stay where they're at. Okay? He's not casting the bat outward this way. He's simply turning the triangle and turning the back. And for the most part, other than the turning of the triangle, the distance from his body of all that stuff stays the same, okay? Again, this might be a concept that's easier to show you in the cage, but just look how tight everything stays right there. He's not flailing outward. He's simply turning and letting the bat go directly and the hands go directly at the ball. Another thing conceptually as a hitter in your mind to have is to pretend that off the end, the knob of your bat, it runs straight with your bat. Pretend there's a laser beam on that, and you want to dissect or cut the ball in half with that laser. Okay, so if there was a laser attached to his bat, he's slicing right through it. Okay, so that's something you put in your head as a little caveat when you start swinging. Just try to think of that when you're doing it, and see if that will help you get a different feel for how you're swinging as well. And you can see here he's got a pretty good 90 still. Okay, David, here's Matt Antonelli. He's an ex-Major League Baseball player. He's got a ton of video on the internet showing just every topic under the sun when it comes to learning how to play baseball. But let's look at his swing. I just want you to see it so that you can put it in your knowledge base here and try to mimic it. Okay, the blue line is obviously his spine angle, but almost more than that, I want you to see how he just rolls to the ball. He takes a direct to the ball, not a lot of wasted movement, doesn't cast the hands, he maintains his 90 triangle, and he just rolls to contact right there. No arm barring. That swing is going to generate your maximum power, okay? So just soak that in, grab your wiffle ball bat, try to duplicate this. You can see right here the barrel's at its lowest point, and now it's coming upward on the plane of the pitch. He maintains his 90 to contact and then comes out of it into his power V, which they don't show here, but just keep that principle in mind, that particular part of your swing. Okay, so here we have you on the right. And I just want you to watch your 90. Right there, you're casting and losing the 90. So here's you again with the different pitch location. And right away here we see that your arm barred, you're straight, your 90's decreased, your triangle. Okay. So now I want to show you, if you look at your bat, watch your bat from this point forward. Your bat is not moving right in this portion of the swing. It's not moving straight back, which is the initial movement you want from your bat. You can see you tip your bat head outward, then bring it backwards, but not rearward toward the catcher. Okay? That motion right there is what helps you also, other than not moving your triangle correctly, it gives you momentum moving the wrong direction. You want momentum to go towards the pitch, okay? Very, very big point, okay? So I've drawn two lines that are showing the bat moving and how far it moves in the wrong direction. So you can see there that you have that much movement leading the bat, giving the bat momentum, which then your hands have to change if you want to correct it in the wrong direction. Okay? So as you get to load right here, right before you launch your hands, at this point, you don't have enough bat leg and your knob is not pointed at the catcher's glove or the catcher's feet. Okay? Your glove is pointed, I can't tell exactly where here, but it's, you know, you're much more shallow than being deeper with where your knob's pointed at, okay? And you can see this in Matt's bat. He's got more of a bat wrap or pre-bat leg position, okay? It's probably easier to see without the line on it. You can see the direction of his bat. It's, his hands are back further and the knob or the end of the bat is pointed more forward than yours, okay? But as you roll Matt's tape, he's simply dropping it backwards. There's not a large movement this way. It's only that way. Okay? So it's a subtle difference, I understand. But just keep in mind, when you were working the snap drill, there's a couple of great benefits from the snap drill in mastering that. It's going to teach you how to move your triangle, what to do with your hands. But the importance of that drill is sending the bat rearward, okay, towards the catcher, okay? I mean that direction versus behind you or in front of you, okay? So let's just watch him again now that we've pointed that out. He's simply laying it down and then thrusting forward. And that's what makes the bat do what you want the bat to do. Okay, so let's take a look at your front view. You know, we've only got a couple and a half months until we start playing ball. So you know, my biggest concern with all of our hitters is, you know, the snap drill and swinging the bat correctly, because that in itself is going to correct a lot of things. But I'm going to real quickly just touch on your legs and your movement when you start your swing. It's not a real bad thing, and a lot of elite hitters do this, but I want you to see this so it's something that you can maybe practice, see if you can get the feel for it. There are specific drills that will help you with this, and after we get your swing down, we should probably visit those. So, you know, I want you to remember to ask me that. But let's take a look at this here real quick. So here you are in what I call the ready position. It's preload. The pitcher's on the mound. He's maybe winding up. It's right before you load. So you got the ready position, you got the load, and then you've got launch, so that when we talk this, we can be on the same page. But this is just ready. You're in the box, preload, waiting to load and swing, okay? I want you to watch your first movements with your body and your head, okay? So you move 3/4 of the width of your body rearward. That's your initial move with your body, okay? So again, there's elite hitters out there that have done it, but again, we're attacking a baseball, okay? If you're a boxer and your job is to hit the guy in front of you as hard as you can and knock him out, okay? And you got to be quick about it because he's defending himself. You're probably going to want to get as strong as you can and learn to just launch from a set position, okay, of balance, with proper coil within that movement, okay? So you've moved that far, you've moved your head almost, 3/4 the way back. That's going to change the way you see the ball, okay? So keep that in mind. So here we have you mocked up with Albert Pujols, one of the greatest hitters of all time. Power, average, he had it all, okay? He's way over the hill now and he's still playing. But before he ran into, feet problem and leg problems and got a little bit older, this cat was the best of the best, okay? So let's just roll him. Let you see him. Okay. So what Albert does is he gets in an aggressive stance. Okay, you can see his leg position there. He's got his knee bent inward. He's at 50-50 uh, load with his legs, meaning they're equal and opposite. They're equal opposites, okay? All he does, he doesn't even pick up his toe. He doesn't leg kick. He does not move backwards. He simply lifts up his heel, puts his heel back down, and torques his lower body and creates as much power or more than anybody in the game today, all the way back to when the game was invented, okay? So if we look at your right leg, it's almost flexed out the opposite direction than you want to travel, okay? So if you were to try to push off from where you're at going towards the pitcher from that position, you're not going to have as much power versus the way Albert's doing it, okay? So first we have you moving away from the pitcher, and that's not abnormal, for youth baseball players. Don't take it the wrong way. but you're trying to gather power. You know, a lot of players have movements, and your body tells you to move a certain way because you need to gather power, okay? All this is highlighting is maybe a different way or the correct way to gather power, okay? But you go backwards and then forward, okay? So the other thing to say about that you should really understand and how it affects your swing is a batter a batter's job is to be as quick as he can from trigger, which means the point he starts his hands in the swing, to the contact of the ball. So we're going to call that time to impact. Your time to impact should be as small as possible, okay? You need to eliminate all the wasted motion in your swing to gain the best reaction time or time to impact that you can. And the more movement that you have in your swing, what I'm going to call non-essential movement, it all adds more time to your time to impact. Not only that, you know, I'm sure in school you've learned in science to this point. If you haven't, I'll share it with you for the first time. For something on your body to do something, your brain has to tell it to do it, okay? So if you have all this wasted movement, pushing back with your left foot, raising your left leg, you know, whatever you're doing with your arms and upper body, your brain is wasting that energy telling your body to do that. Okay? So again, there are some successful baseball players that have, you know, similar movements and aren't what we call the quietest hitter. A quiet hitter is Albert Pujols. This is perfect quiet. You can't get any quieter in your swing. That means he does nothing until he launches and hits the ball. Okay? No movement whatsoever. Okay? So just take that in, think about it. Again, there are simple drills and ways to teach you how to stay quiet. My primary focus is getting the swing corrected, and then we can get into these littler things and, you know, break the swing down even further. But just drink all this in, put it in your knowledge base so as you're in the practice cages, these are things you can keep in mind and work on. You should always go to the cages and practice ready to work on little things. If you don't know what to work on, again, I've attached the action plan, but just ask. Ask me, ask another coach, you know, what's important to concentrate on. Every time you swing a bat in practice mode, you should literally have a thought process on, I'm trying to improve something. And if you run out of things to improve, which you never will and you should never want to, every day, you know, if you make it to the major leagues, every day, how do I get better? How do I get better? So keep that in mind. And let's get to this same view. I just want to now talk about your arms and your load here. Okay, here we are on the same video. You're in your ready position. You're in a pretty good stance, arm and hand wise. I really like that right there. If that was your load, that that would be perfect. If that was your preload or your ready stance, that would be absolutely ideal. If somebody were to look at that on video, I think 9 out of 10 hitting instructors are going to like what they see right there, okay? So the one thing to point out again is you should be here and here. You should have that knee inward just a little bit, because the feel when you kick or when you pick this left foot up and whatever you do with it, whether you're going to have a big leg kick or a small leg kick, when you lift your left foot, you should fall forward, okay? You don't need to be so aggressively raked forward that you take off at 1,000,000 miles an hour, but when you lift your left foot, you should naturally fall forward a little bit. So again, that's easy. All you got to do is get in a stance, practice it by just lifting my left foot and see what happens. And keep tweaking it until you get into a spot where you just fall forward when you lift your left foot, okay? So I got off the hands there again, but let's get back to the hands. So if this was your ready position, preload, all you would have to do to load at this point, okay? And I like your shoulder that high, by the way. You know, it's not easy for a lot of people to reach that. But from this point, if this was your ready stance, all you would really have to do to load is take this back further, not higher, just twist it behind you a little bit more, and that's going to give you the separation between your left hip and your right shoulder. That's loading. A lot of our players are just moving their hands or something of that nature. They're not really loading what we're going to call the stretch in the rubber band between the hip and the shoulder. Okay, so what you want to separate to load are these 2 points. Okay, so if you were to load these things correctly at this point in time in the swing to load, that's going to give you more stretch. And then when you trigger correctly, meaning start your hands, you're going to be coming through there faster than you would this way. You're trying to generate power and momentum from just being still. You don't have anything from your body helping you do that. So you got to use other portions of your body. So, but the other thing I want to note here, if you remember when we talked about how flat you were to the plate, your chest, and you wanted to close off a little bit, this is where you do it, okay? So at this point in time, if you were to take your right rear shoulder and move it behind you, again, not up, but behind you, and your left shoulder backwards and down a little bit, like we saw Aaron Judge, and close off a little bit, that's all loading is. That it's that simple, just that little movement. So again, take a look at some of these videos, look at some guys on the internet. Everybody doesn't load exactly the same, but there's, again, a lot of similarities at the same time. So at this point in time, if you were to just load by twisting your upper torso, that's all the movement you need. That's going to give you all the power you need. That's going to give you more power than hunkering down rearward, okay? All that motion right there is wasted motion, okay? From here, backwards, and back to here is all something that you can cut out of your swing. That's fat that you can just cut off and be a leaner, meaner hitter right there, okay? So here we have Albert back up on the screen, and I'm going to attempt, it's really hard with this video, it's easier to show you this in person, but if you are pulling your hands directly at the ball, slicing the ball with the laser off your knob, and turning the triangle correctly, you'll see that he gets it up here. It's probably not really hitting his hip like a lot of hitters do. It's probably coming pretty close, but you can see, although the elbow is still moving a little bit, it kind of stops or slows down right there as he's getting his hands here, okay? You cannot get your hands out here out in front of you where they need to be if your elbow keeps going, okay? This elbow has to stop in order for you to pull the bat and get out to this position that he's in. So it's kind of a pivot point for the elbow. If you just let the elbow slide, then there's no pivot point for the hands to pull through, okay? It's kind of like pitching. You know, if you don't straighten your left leg and push back into you, you're not going to have a proper pivot point for your hips and your upper body rotation. Okay, so it's kind of it kind of breaks and allows the pull to come past, and then it comes through the swing. Okay, so let's discuss this right here. This is everybody that casts their hands and bat in a swing are going to look, they're going to be flat, what I call flat right there, okay? You kind of got a flatness to you right there. Your elbows do. The relationship of your elbows towards the pitcher, they're flat to the pitcher, okay? When you go flat here, or for all intents and purposes, your elbows stop. Your elbow, left elbow in particularly, is no longer being driven upward. So, by the laws of science, if you're going to stop here, but you're still going to swing at this pitch and hit it, all this here has to come out, okay? Because you don't have a hinge in your forearm. You only have a hinge in your elbow and wrist, okay? So there's not another hinge there to allow you to pull forward. So you're forced to go outward and become horizontally rotational to a degree versus just ripping the bat that way. And you can see here right before contact, you're still flat, okay? So as we look at Aaron Judge here, okay, he is not flat, or he's not flat with his whole arm, let's put it that way, okay? If we draw a circle around his left elbow, we're going to see that his left elbow is up at his head and yours is down at your sternum. You've got to keep this elbow moving. It's imperative to get on the proper flight path and create the maximum bat speed to keep that thing going by turning the triangle. And the good news is that that's simple to do. All you need to do is gain the knowledge of what the strap snap drill is, and you need to slowly and methodically practice it until you can get it. And that one step alone is going to cure all this. Okay? So one more thing I want to quickly explain is the power V. You actually don't have too bad of a power V here, but when you get the snap drill down, and your power V should get to the point where it's almost parallel with the ground. Now, certain pitches, that's not going to happen. Extreme inside pitches, you're going to alligator arm and maybe never get to a power V, even when you're swinging correctly. But for most pitches that are strikes over the plate, you want to obtain a power V just like that, okay? As you can see here, yours is pointed much lower than Aaron. Okay, so I just want to clarify a couple of things I said there, then look at one last thing, and I think we should be done with your lesson here, Dave. When I was talking about loading, and I said twist your body and bring your left shoulder back, I meant down and inward, okay? I'm hoping you caught on to that, but your left shoulder, what I'm talking about is tweaking it kind of down and in a little bit more so that you look like Aaron Judge on those other videos that we talked about. And this goes backwards. Okay, and when I said I like the position of your shoulder, what I meant to say is I like the high elbow. You know, not everybody goes that high. A lot of people, most people, well, actually there's quite a variance everywhere in the game, but you could move it down a little bit to there, but anywhere from where you got it to there, I think is not bad. I think when you twist rearward and fix your load and get your load, you know, you get the feel of that and you perfect that, that's probably going to pull the right elbow down a little bit because that's how you do it. You lead that stretch with your elbow. So if you look at a lot of players, they kind of cock the elbow backwards. That's kind of the pulling point. Pulling backwards is done from the elbow. So I just want to clarify those things, but let's take a look at a couple more things on this swing here. So here we're in the ready stance. Your hands are pretty close to your load where you should be other than the turning of your body. So that's good. It's not like you got your hands in some, you know, some people flail them around and waggle their bat and do some stuff. But right there, you're pretty good, like I mentioned earlier. But here you go. Okay. You bring your hands down. You come straight backwards. Okay. And you just never do the load with the rubber band from the hip to the shoulder. Okay. So again, it's the same point as earlier. It's all non-essential movement and you're not loading properly. The important thing is to load properly with as little movement as possible. So you bring the hands down, you move back, and then you launch your swing. So you can see already you're going from this high position and you're getting it down here. And the two improper things about that, excuse me, is you're moving backwards and you're not loading. But this movement right there tells me that when you do learn to do it correctly, which hopefully and should be rather simple, is that you're probably going to be more in this position here once you load, which is fine. That's where probably a majority of all major league hitters are. Some are lower, and that's fine. Some people even teach not going this high up here. Some people suggest starting here because the elbow has to slot down here anyway. I'm sorry, down here on your off your hip. But the part that I personally like about having it up here is that it gives you momentum when you go from high to low. So anyway, that is about everything I wanted to cover here for you. Again, you know, it's hard to do this stuff without, maybe proper supervision or somebody over your shoulder showing you the stuff. And that's why watching this stuff, understanding it, it gives you the power to work on this stuff on your own. But that being said, just like your pitching, I'm available outside of normal practice times to help you with this stuff in any way I can. If you want to talk to me at practice about stuff or set up some one-on-one time during, open hitting or wherever we can get together to get it done, I'm here for you. All you got to do is ask, and we can move forward. So again, I'm going to attach your pitching and the totality of all your hitting video so that you can look at that, and again, pay attention to the pitch location versus where you hit the ball and how consistent you are at flush contact. So I really want all our guys to be aware of how they're doing in that category. So that completes your lesson. Okay, so here is his leg kick. You can see how high it is right there. What I also want you to pay attention is if you just watch the pure movement of the leg. It's going straight up. It's not moving side to side, so to speak, or front to back, I guess, from this view, a whole lot. It's kind of a straight line up to his right shoulder, okay? Okay, so that's the first thing. It goes up higher, and there's no twisting or anything of that nature. You just put that leg up there. Now let's watch right here. You both start to come to the plate, and you can see right here, he's still tucked. He's still got his elbows to his torso. He's keeping a tight center of gravity right there. Okay? As you can see here, you're already separating your arms. Okay? You want to stay as tight and centered as you can as long as you can. Okay? And then I want to get to my next point is right here, right in this area. I want you to watch his arm. from his elbow all the way up to the ball. He's pulling back, just like I explained how you gain stretch in the rubber band from your left hip to your right elbow in batting. This is his pull point. This is what's creating the pull. He's pulling and leading the pull with his elbow. And you can see here the angle of his forearm, okay? You can see here you're laid outward and your arm is even back behind you further, which is going to give you less whip and arm speed, and also going to cause you to be more rotational. The next thing to point out is you are completely vertical and straight up with your arm. You actually want to be closer to a 45-degree angle. Okay, you can see how here he's laid down a little bit more. So right there you see how straight up you are. You kind of want to be more in here. Okay, that's putting a lot of stress on your arm with that motion right there. You can also see how straight up his torso and head are, and you are laid over like so. But right here, just like in your swing with your left front foot, you're bent. And as you can see, Abram's straight. You have to get straight-legged to get pushed back into your body, into your torso, so that you can become more over the top rotational, mind you, but your body pivots over your left hip socket, okay? You have to push back so that you got something to come over to create whip. It's just like trying to, take a whip and whipping it. There's got to be pullback in your hand to create whip. You can't just let something keep going and expect it to whip, okay? So those are the biggest points in your pitching, just off of looking at this video. I'm sure if I went further, we could talk about some more stuff, but watch this. Get this ingrained in your head so that as we move forward, you can think about some of this stuff. I don't see anything wrong with your feet and the way they move. I think once you get that leg kick fixed and get more linear towards your target, you might see that this thing lands differently and is maybe a little bit more over here, but the way it is now, it's just due to being rotational, not having the proper leg kick and release and everything. So staying closed and all of that. So I'll just roll this here a little bit more so you can look at. I'll put your other pitches in there and your hitting.
Keith, how you doing, buddy? Okay, sir. Are you ready? How do the hands feel with the pine tar? Any different?
Kind of like more over here.
So I'm going to come back, you're going to step and load, and then fire when it gets there. Okay, so look at your feet. Yep. And then give me 3 more inches back that way too. Okay. So after every pitch, reset yourself where you need to be. And I want those feet, they're still pointed that way a little bit. I want them parallel, but now back. I want you off the plate a certain amount. Okay? You already look better than you did last week. Okay. Same thing, I come back, reload. Throw it this way. Your back pass on a different pass. So here's one more thing. Now it's not done yet. Watch this. Watch this. From your low position. See, I got a 90 degree. Now watch. Watch. All I do is I keep this and this always at 90 degrees. And what I'm doing is always 90 degrees. See, I'm out here, it's 90 degrees. I'm back here, I got 90 degrees. But the first thing that happens here in a swing is this comes back. This comes back. This doesn't come out here. This comes back. While you're bringing it here, this comes back. You're straight on the ball. Look, outside pitch, boom. Inside pitch, boom. Okay. Some pitches to look over the camera job. Hey. You're going to load your film. When I get your film together, I want to get together with you and your dad. Okay? Okay. Oh, hey. Dave, can you help get all these files picked up?